Hi, Zizaran here with another guide for the upcoming 3.17 League, and this is Absolution. Now, Absolution is actually not getting a buff in 3.17. It's just already very strong, and we found a really cool idea of making it even stronger by combining it with Summon Phantasms, and it'll be less damage than a lot of the softcore versions that you'll see floating around. However, this one is really tanky and has max spell block. That being said, we don't really have much footage of the build being played. This is more of a build theory thing. It's not something we've actually played ourselves, but Absolution is very strong right now, and there's nothing changing. So we are pretty confident that this is a really good build. Now, one thing that's worth mentioning for this is both at the start of maps and at the start of bosses, it's sort of rampy. Similar to Dominating Blow, where you have to be hitting and attacking things at the start of the map, and once all your minions are up, which are going to be like 10 or 11 Phantasms and 3 Absolutions, then you're going to have all your damage. And with everything up and fairly endgame gear, we're looking at a little bit over 3 or 4 million damage. And with the gear that we're showcasing in the endgame version and everything up, should be slightly around 3 million damage. And as you can see, the tank is pretty great, and we have max spell block. Fun little addendum, because I have blue hair now, and part was recorded before and part after. We've made some changes to the build, actually with some input from KRIPP, who's been playing the build a lot. We have another tree now that uses Necroaegis. I find not having a shield and the block stuff kind of scary, but this version gets spell suppression, so that's a really good thing to go for too. It uses the Cold Attuned Buckler from Heist, and it inflicts brittle on enemies when you block their damage, and your minions will get that. So that will give 5% flat crit, which is huge for minions because they get a lot of percentage, but they don't have a lot of flat. So that should be a really nice damage boost. And you do lose some life as well on this, but you do gain 100% spell suppression, which is insanely strong. And Tempest Shield and the spell block nodes still work because you still have a shield. You just don't get the bonuses from your shield. So you're losing like the life on block. Now, as normal, our guides feature a step-by-step leveling, so you can follow along and it'll show you which ascendancy point to take as you're leveling as well. So very easy to follow along. They'll highlight as you take them. In the skills as well, we have the leveling here with what gems you're swapping out and what gems you're using. So we are actually switching to Absolution as soon as we hit it at level 12. And again, Gazi, KRIPP, and loads of other people have played Absolution builds as well that are insanely strong. So it should be a very good build. And then here we have the endgame, and gems are also listed by priority. So, you take the last one least. So here we can see the 6-thing setup, and if you're wondering about the crit, we actually don't have an insane amount of crit, but we are using the Monkey Specters for Frenzy and Power Charges on the minions, and obviously Power Charges are insanely strong on minions, as well as the Minion Mastery giving an additional 100. So as you can see, even though they're not exactly a crazy amount of crit, is more than enough for that to be the best support gem. Now in the item section, you can see that we have a early, mid-game, and end-game setup as well, and we also have a Animate Guardian option. We have a cheap one because obviously there is the risk that an Animate Guardian can die even on a Necro, but we also have an expensive fun way. This would basically be an Impulsa with Gravebind, and that would be that whenever the golem is near what you're killing, it'll do the Impulsa explosion, which should be pretty fun if you have a bunch of extra currency and you want to try that out. Now, as normal, we have a bunch of solutions to problems you might run into on the notes as well. So, for example, what about the DPS? That is, only calculating 1 minion, and it's not calculating the Phantasms. So everything that you should have run into issues with is solved here in the guide. So make sure you check that out. Now we'll do the regular Q&A we do at the end of videos. Are there too many gems to equip? It's a minion summoner. It's going to have a lot of socket pressure. The easiest things to drop is Defiance Banner, Stone Golem, and Animate Guardian. Can the player have mana issues? Absolutely. Absolution builds really struggle on mana. That's why a lot of people will do things like EB, etc. to fix mana issues. We take a lot of reduced mana used, so that helps a lot. Worst case scenario, you could use an Enduring Mana Flask. So for quality of life and defense, etc., we have 75 spell block and pretty high normal block as well, and you want to get life on block. This is pretty integral to the build. Now, on top of that, we have a bunch of armor, over 20,000, And we also have our minions. Minion builds are obviously pretty safe because things are going to target our minions. And we have a decent amount of HP as well. And a lot of things are answered in the notes as well. For example, go make sure you know how to make the +1 minion helmet, which we also have included in the notes. Now, again, like I said, one of the biggest hurdles of this build is that it is like a ramping thing. Like the starter bosses and the starter maps until you have everything summoned can be kind of clunky. So be prepared for that. And other than that, it looks to be a really, really solid build. Good luck in 3.17. Thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video. Try to die less than I do.